Unmuted.
Hey, it is May 6th. I am Commissioner Rothstein, and we're going to start our open session. Should go from now to approximately around 12 o'clock. We got a lot to cover, especially within Priority Carroll. First and foremost, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and take a moment of silence and reflect on the things that are important to you at this time. Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for me up front, a sincere thoughts and prayers to the Krebs family as Mark, mom, passed away at the Dove House a couple days ago. Let her memory be a blessing to him and his family. Let's start with Priority Carroll. Commissioner Weaver.
Okay, first, I guess I attended the virtual chamber breakfast the other day, as well as Commissioner Rothstein and Commissioner Wance. And Commissioner Wance was on the menu. Did a great job. I commend him for talking for 3 hours. No, it's a little
It's only
over an
2.5
hour,
hours.
but he did a great
Just seemed
job
like
on presenting things in the county. So that was.
Frazier was there too, wasn't
He was.
Yes, he was.
he?
Oh, you were? You on that?
Yeah, he was in the
He
background.
was.
I saw him.
I didn't see you on my screen. Okay, yeah,
Trying to
sorry.
keep off your screen, Weaver.
It was low key at that
We all
point.
tried
So, that was a great meeting, and actually attended the board work session last night, and this is Teacher Appreciation Week, and the meeting, I think, number one, Teacher Appreciation Week. We want to appreciate. I do appreciate what teachers have done this year, teaching both in person and virtually. They spent a lot of time and a lot of extra time preparing for those. Interesting way of teaching, but I think next week they're going to present a whole program on the virtual learning in some areas that will maybe become a norm rather than just something that had to happen due to the pandemic. And in the meeting, of course, they want to ask two things. One, that we continue the quarterly meetings to keep communications open with the Board of Ed. And number two, any dollars that we would have left, they will use for salaries only. So that was definitely a comment came out of there. And lastly, this is also National Pet Week. So please take care of your pets this week and give them a little extra appreciation. So that's all I have.
Okay. Speaking of pets,
So
Commissioner
does
Wance.
that mean we have to respect him this week only? that just this week, right? Thank you for the kind words. That
Well, thanks for
I
paying
still-
for them.
yeah, well, whatever. I mean, it's still would like to get back to in person, but
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Yep.
So, trivia question for this morning: what's the unemployment rate for Carroll in the state of Maryland? Close.
4.2.
Very good. Well, you're
Lowest
cheap.
of
You
any
looked
county.
over.
I didn't say.
Lowest of any county.
Thank you very much. So I mentioned that the other day. It actually went down since I talked on what was that? Tuesday. What day was that? Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So it actually went down since then. So at 4.2, a good sign that we're getting somewhere back to normalcy. And as I travel around and watch folks still continue to wear the masks and whatever, it's a good. Folks are all in. That's good. That's a good sign. So, actually, other than that, I don't think I have much because I kind of was away. We got 2 broadband grants last week, which is fabulous. So hopefully that's the beginning of things to come for what I've been preaching about for a long time. I'll have to find something else to preach about. I'll come up with something.
You got your gravel
Got
road.
gravel roads, got broadband. I'm going to have to find new material for the pulpit. And
I'll help you with that.
thank you very much. Okay.
As long as it's not trying to get McDonald's in Pleasant, just.
Yeah. And the trash on the roads. Well, I've been preaching about that. And I would assume that you're going to use my quote today at some point, Commissioner Rothstein.
Sometime I probably will. So
Okay.
you could expect it.
I can't wait to hear it.
We heard it on Tuesday.
Okay, I don't remember that. Not that it wasn't memorable, but
Okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner Frazier.
okay, I don't have any quotes, but getting back to normal. Last Friday, I think it was, we attended the opening for the senior centers in Westminster. And now senior centers are open on a limited schedule right now, but at least they're open right now. So things are getting back to normal. And the reason that they are is because people are getting vaccinated. If you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, please go out and get vaccinated. From what I understand, there's more slots than there are people getting vaccinated. So, and some of them now you can just walk up and get vaccinated. They're being done in the town mall of Westminster where the old Sears building was. Walk in, get yourself vaccinated so things can become more and more normal. If your municipality hasn't had their local election yet, there's a couple left, Westminster being one. Please get out and vote. If you notice in the paper, in Mount Airy, the mayor retained his seat by just 2 votes. So in those municipal elections, the votes really count. Please get out and vote municipal elections. And we have our public hearing on our proposed budget on May the 11th, which is this coming Tuesday at 7 o'clock, which will be virtual. People will be calling in and so forth with questions. If you have a concern or a question about our budget, please do, call in at that point. I know this past Monday we had a virtual presentation by our budget director who went over the budget again, so everyone had a chance to see it and view it. So if you have questions, call in. We'll see what we can do. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Boucher.
Good morning, gentlemen. Commissioner Weaver mentioned that Commissioner Wance was on the menu earlier. Does that mean that the bacon was tough? Well, here we go. We have the Union Bridge visit this week. The Army Corps of Engineers were able to complete their floodplain analysis of the Little Pipe Creek, which floods out that little town. They gave a fantastic job. You can go on, I believe, the county website and the town's website to look at the analysis. This is very important to that town and that community. I want to give a special thanks to Acting Director Chris Hine and Pat Varga on our staff, and also a big special thanks to a former employee of the county, Jason Stick, who's with the Army Corps of Engineers, and Debbie Hardick for their work on this. The Army Corps of Engineers footed the bill for the analysis. Now it's up to us to take and try to figure out how we can pay for this to prevent flooding in that town. It's extremely critical for the economic development of Union Bridge to solve that flooding issue. And more important than that is the public safety issue. When that creek floods out, it splits the town in two, and the fire department on one side takes 20 minutes to a half hour to get around to the other side. So hopefully in the future that we can work with not only federal government, but our state delegation to get some funds to help put in a new bridge, which is scheduled to be replaced by the State Highway Administration probably within the next 8 years. So hopefully with all this effort, we can do something to give that town some love. The second thing I have is the flower and plant sale at Union Mills Homestead. This was the first big event that they were able to pull off since COVID started. It was a tremendous success. There was steady traffic all 3 days. I didn't get there until Sunday afternoon on my motorcycle, and most of the stuff had been picked through and cleaned out, which was a really good sign that people are wanting to get out there, do something outdoors, do the gardening. I'm a big advocate of gardening since I have a vegetable garden myself. And I want to read off a little note supplied to me by Sam Riley and James Shriver, who helped put this event together. The Flower and Plant Market is one of our major fundraisers for Union Mills Homestead Foundation. So it was definitely a major positive for us that the event was successful. The event's success is attributable to hundreds of hours of volunteer time needed to pull off something like this. So we owe much gratitude to our many volunteers. So I want to thank all those people out there who participate in pulling this off. And in closing, I want to congratulate Mayor-elect Link down in Sykesville. I'm sure Commissioner Rossi will mention this. That is historical. This will be the first female mayor of Sykesville. And I also want to give my thanks to outgoing Mayor Ian Shaw for his 8 years of service. I hope he does not take this in any way as a negative, because he has been mayor for 8 years. And I think naturally people impose a term limit on us. We are limited to 8 years. The president, the governor, all limit to 8 years. And he has served very well as mayor of Sykesville for the last 8 years. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Boucher, and congratulations to all those that have won either the mayoral races and or council person races across Carroll County, and we still have a few left. So good luck to all those that are still campaigning and running. A few things. One is on the way to work this morning, Mission Barbecue, which is now a Westminster resident, was on Fox News, Fox in the Morning, and they presented a over $1 million check to the USO. So Bill Krause was on this morning. They continuously provide funds to our military, our fire, and our police. And Bill said it very clearly when asked, why do you do this? And it's to provide the best food he can to those that raise their right hand to protect, serve, and save. And I really took that one. That meant a lot. Just happened to listen to that this morning. This past week, as Commissioner Weaver shared, it was Teachers' Day and also Nurses' Day is either today or yesterday. So big shout out to Kathy and also to my mom and my dad, who are lifelong teachers and nurses, respectively. Let's see. You mentioned the vaccination at the town mall. That's great. And all that I just have to say is let's continue to do what's right. And that allows us to be in this room. We still have this plexiglass appropriately safeguarding us. We are doing the due diligence, allowing us to be in this room. If we were not doing that, we would not be here. So, and we would continue to be virtual. So as Commissioner Wance said, I think we're moving in a step in the right direction. Sometimes I feel like this plexiglass should actually have a shade going down so I don't have to see what's on my left or right. But, that may be the next modification.
That's coming.
That was more at you than me.
No, I can't say that.
No, I'm saying it.
But speaking of children, let's hand this over to Commissioner Frazier and talk about the Children's Mental Health Awareness Week.
That was one. See,
Okay, Children's Mental Health Awareness Week is May 2nd to the 8th. And I have a proclamation here. It said addressing the complex behavioral health needs of children, youth, and families today is fundamental to the future of Carroll County. 1 in 5 children experience a diagnosable mental, emotional, or behavioral health challenge a year, yet only 20% are identified and receive treatment. The need for comprehensive, coordinated behavioral health services for children, youth, young adults, and families places a critical responsibility upon our community, and the Carroll County behavioral health providers offering unique approaches to serving children, youth, young adults, and families with behavioral health concerns are effectively caring for the needs of those within our community. And mental health is something everyone has, regardless of age, gender, race, culture, income, or education. Mental health awareness helps all children to be successful in school, at home, in the community, and in their future adult lives. And during the first full week in May 2021, Carroll County community champions and school champions will be intensifying efforts to promote public understanding of children's behavioral health and decrease stigma surrounding behavioral health concerns to let parents know that they are not alone in caring for behavioral health needs. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May 2nd through May 8th as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week and urge our citizens and all agencies and organizations interested in meeting every child's behavioral health needs to unite during Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. And the proclamation is signed by all the county commissioners.
Okay.
And Commissioner Weaver and I have our buttons on. I don't know what the other guys are doing, but that's good. Commissioner Weaver and I have our buttons on. Thanks, Commissioner Weaver.
I wasn't given a button. I want a button.
I got a button.
Yeah.
You got a
I
button?
wasn't even here and I got a button.
I didn't get a button. I want a button.
Yes, you did.
You
just
got a
don't know
button.
it.
You didn't see it.
I saw it on your desk.
You
Yeah,
did not
kidding.
see it on my
I
desk.
did.
Okay. If I can have Mr. Singer and Katie Mack, Corey Bachmiller, Judy Klinger, Sherry Scott, and Sarah Gallagher. Let's see
Oh,
all
wait,
these.
it looks like
happy
y'all have
faces.
buttons on.
Yeah, you all have buttons. I want a button. Sherry, do you have your button on? Sherry does not have her button on. Good.
Ooh.
Sherry.
Commissioner, are you not being able to account for your property that you were issued? In the military, I'd expect you to be able to account for your property, and I know what was sent over for you.
I will do my push-ups later. I promise you that, Mr. Singer. So, Ed, why don't you take the lead on this and let's go around from there, okay?
Thanks, commissioners. I really appreciate it. Children's mental health has been a really important thing for us here at the health department and with all of our community partners for quite a long time. And I guess, in these times of what we're dealing with COVID, it's become even more difficult with the kids not being able to interact with their friends and all as much as they normally would, not having some of the supports that they normally would during this past year. So I think children's mental health is even more important this year than it has been in previous years. And I just kind of want to emphasize that at this point. One of the things that we've done here in Carroll County that I'm really proud of is our staff, along with all of our community partners, got together and we got a federal grant to try to bring services to Carroll County that were only available in Baltimore. And there are over a dozen organizations that are involved in this eSmart program. And I don't want to get into naming them because I'll wind up missing somebody and leaving them out. But there are over a dozen organizations that are very involved in this program, trying to bring these services to Carroll County. Now, the federal grant's ending, but that doesn't mean that we want the services that we've managed to stand up to improve the accessibility of mental health services here in Carroll County to end. So we're looking at creative ways in keeping these services going and continuing to bring important ability to provide children's mental health services to the youth and adolescents here in Carroll County. So Katie Mack is our program manager for eSmart and oversees our children's mental health programs in Carroll County, and I'll turn it over to her and let her talk a little bit and introduce the other folks we've got on board.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to join this meeting this morning. As Ed had mentioned, I'm the eSmart Project Director, and I work out of the Carroll County Health Department. eSmart is an early childhood system of care award that was made to Carroll County in particular, and just speaks to the phenomenal effort of our community coming together and collaborating and building partnerships. eSmart in particular focuses on the behavioral health needs of children 0 to 8. So again, really focusing on prevention and early intervention. For this week in particular, we say that as a community, this week of awareness should be promoted at all service and program levels, not just focusing on children 0 to 8, but really across that lifespan and including families in these conversations as well. Conversations about mental health should be just as routine as conversations about overall health and wellness. We must recognize that mental health is something that everyone has, regardless of age, gender, race, culture, income, or education, as mentioned in the proclamation. In fact, mental health should really be viewed on a spectrum from a person being mentally healthy through on to a meaningful recovery. Oftentimes when people hear the term mental health, they only really think of the term mental illness and the stigma that surrounds mental illness, unfortunately. There are prevention, early intervention, and treatment services and supports available in our community here for children and families. Those services can help to change the outcome for children, youth, and caregivers. We recognize that the earlier that we are able to intervene, the better the outcomes for the child, youth, and family unit overall. Collectively, we should strive for a community of awareness during this year's Children's Mental Health Matters campaign and each and every day of the year. I am going to pass the baton to Corey Bachmiller. She is the eSmart System Coordinator. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you all for allowing us to be here today. To add to what Katie said, I would just like to point out the importance of focusing on mental health in children. It allows them to develop better social skills, more self-confidence, high self-esteem, an overall healthy emotional outlook to carry on with them as they grow into adulthood. Through efforts like Children's Mental Health Awareness Week, we can promote an understanding of children's behavioral and mental health needs and decrease stigma surrounding these concerns, which also will allow caregivers to know that they are not alone. That's what I would like to add. And I would again like to thank everybody for recognizing this week, allowing us to be here today. And I am going to now pass it on to Judy Klinger, Supervisor of School Counseling for the Carroll County Public Schools.
Good morning, everyone. I'm particularly pleased that, again, we're recognizing children's mental health this week, and certainly thank all commissioners for doing so. As said in the proclamation, mental health is really the basis for everything else in life. And we know that very well, especially when it comes to academics and student achievement. School counselors, in fact, one of our main domains is social emotional development. And we have very specific standards that we address and that we work to meet the needs of students at all levels. Certainly, it has been an interesting year for all of us, and working in the trenches day in and day out since March 13th, 2020, has really been a challenge. However, I'm very proud to say that the school counselors, the school psychs, the people personnel workers, our nurses, we have been all in since the beginning of this pandemic to support our students. And I feel very proud and I'm very honored to work with all these folks who have been supporting these students and families through this unusual circumstance. However, I would really like to recognize Sherry Scott at Northwest Middle and Sarah Gallagher at Shiloh. These two ladies are actually our semifinalists for recognition for School Counselors of the Year. So I thought it would be very appropriate to hear from two of these who are working in the trenches every day. So Sherry.
Thank you, Judy. So I just wanted to say thank you to the Board of County Commissioners for proclaiming this week as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. Carroll County school counselors are acutely aware of the need to address the mental health and emotional needs of students. So as a result, we do provide emotional supports and education to every student in the schools that we are all in through our data-driven comprehensive counseling plans. I'm grateful to relay that we appreciate on behalf of all of the counselors in Carroll County that you all are supporting our community and raising awareness for the importance of mental health and promoting the mental health matters. Thank you very much.
Just as Sherry said, thank you all so much for giving us the opportunity to say a few words today and for recognizing this as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. I really appreciate all of my colleagues in Carroll County Public Schools, as well as the outside agencies that we work with collaboratively to be a team effort of supporting all students in their mental and emotional health. I also want to thank the families of Carroll County for trusting us every day with taking care of their students and that knowing that we treat them as we would want somebody to treat our own kids. So thank you all so much.
And thank you. Very beautifully said by all. And if we can say a few words, Commissioner Boucher.
Thank you, Commissioner Rothstein. My colleagues and Director Singer know how passionate I am about this issue, having lost a daughter to opioid epidemic who had mental health issues. And so often you're well aware that people with mental health issues turn to addiction to help them, and that's not the way to go. And this program you guys are involved in, intervening at such a young age, is key to having a higher success rate. So I'm very grateful to all of you and everything you do. And Ms. Scott, I like your billboard behind you. Love is the light. Keep spreading the love, and you'll save a lot of people's futures out there. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Weaver.
I just want to take them a moment here. You know, counselors change the lives of many students, and you guys have the chance at a young age to interact with some students that may not have the most stellar home lives, may have other issues in their lives, and you guys can help them navigate through this to get help or whatever they need to get to where they have to be. I just want to say I've seen that happen. I've seen Judy Klinger do it when she was a counselor. I've seen others throughout the years achieve great success with a lot of our young people, and it makes a big difference. And no matter what you think's happening to a lot of those young students, you've made a huge difference in their lives. So thank you for what you do. And Sarah, when you see your assistant principal, give him a big hug for me, would you? Thank you.
Commissioner
Who happens to be
Wentz.
my son, that's why.
Again, to all of you, thank you very much. Being married to a school nurse, I know firsthand what occurs in the school system. So to Sherry and to Sarah and to Judy, thank you all so much for what you do. And the eSmart project is incredibly important. You guys are doing a great job. So Katie and Corey, thank you very much. Ed, whatever. Anyway, thank you all very much for all that you do. And, you know, that was great that you pointed out what is behind Sherry, Eric, because that is incredibly important. And that just gives you an example of what these folks do in our schools. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Fisher.
I would like to echo what my colleagues have said. Thank you for everything that you do for the mental health of the children. The quicker we can intervene when there's a problem, the better off these kids are going to be. It's really very, very important to get them early because, as Commissioner Bichet did mention, most people that turn to drugs or self-medicating because of some mental health issue that they have. So the quicker we can intervene and help these children out with school counselors or whatever else is available, I think the better our community will be. So thank you all for everything that you do.
Yeah, and again, thank you. Either one or a few of you mentioned the word stigma, and we do have to all work together as community neighbors and family to silence that stigma and take that away. We're all saying the younger, the better. And I will now use that quote that was asked of me earlier, because these children are like baby ducklings in a pond of geese. And if you think about it, the baby ducklings can barely be heard, and that pond of geese is overwhelming. And these kids are just being lost. So your work and your actions from eSmart and from the schools bring light to those kids and ensure that their voices are heard. If I could be so bold in using that analogy. So thank you very much, and from sincerity from all of us for all the work that you've done. And with that, let's move on. Okay.
Except for the quote, that was really good.
It was a good quote. I like the quote. You like the quote?
Oh, the quote.
I thought the quote was great.
Loving the quote.
Okay. Let's move on before we get to the older Americans. Let's see if Kim Frock is on.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Whoa,
What's
what was-
Brian doing there?
I don't know. Get him out of here.
Yeah, Brian, don't get on there yet.
Talk about
Yeah.
a pond full of geese.
That was scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Go
Good
ahead.
morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
I hope everyone is doing well. Since we're not able to meet for our 46th employee recognition program, we wanted to recognize some employees today. We have 96 county commissioner employees that we are recognizing for service,
Wow.
as well as 5 retirees that left that would have been recognized this year. So 1,560 years we're celebrating. So we're going to do this by department. So we'll start with the big department first. So that's Public Works. With 25 years of service in engineering, we have Mr. Christopher Litnachin. In our Bureau of Facilities, with 10 years of service, we have Mr. Mark Fischel, Mr. John Thompson, and Mr. David Young. With 20 years of service, Mr. Paul Mules, Mr. Robert Spielman. With 30 years of service, Mr. William Eiler. With 35 years of service, Mr. Paul Gagnon. In fleet management, with 5 years of service, we have Mr. Mark Kennedy and Mr. Keith Vogel. With 15 years of service, we have Mr. Gregory Bachman and Miss June Schaefer. In our Roads Operations Bureau, with 5 years of service, we have Mr. Paul Allen, Mr. Richard Crouch, Mr. Nicholas Naylor, Mr. Antoine Williams. With 10 years of service, we have Mr. Luis Patillo, Mr. Joshua Reichert, and Mr. Dwight Wiles. With 15 years, we have Mr. Donald Black, Mr. Glenn Grossclose, Mr. LaShawn Woodyard, excuse me. With 20 years of service, we have Mr. Matt Barber, Mr. Donald Eiler, Mr. William Forney, and Mr. Keith Sigmund. With 25 years of service, we have Mr. Stanley Miller. With 30 years of service, Miss Debbie Green. With 35 years of service, we have Mr. William Vogel and Mr. Charles Parrish. And with 40 years, Mr. Gary Jones. In our permits office, we have with 5 years, Mr. Paul Caparola and Mr. Lamar Rambo. With 10 years, Mr. Terrence Malik. With 15 years, we have Mr. Timothy Borsey and Mr. Robert Ridge. 20 years of service, Miss April Brightful. And with 35, Miss Anita Brooks. At the landfill, 5 years of service, we have Miss Christina Bell and Miss Jennifer Hall. With 15 years of service, we have Mr. Mark Fine and Mr. Richard Muller. 25 years of service, Mr. Terry Selby. In utilities, we have 5 years of service, Mr. Andrew Watcher and Miss Leah Bean. And 15 years of service, we have Miss Wendy Armstrong. And in Public Works Administration, Mr. Jason Green's got 30 years of service. Moving on to Technology Services, with 5 years, we have Miss Sarah Kopsky and Mr. Virgil Moreno. With 20 years of service, Miss Barbara Savaliski. With 30 years of service, Miss Tara Mayers. With 35 years of service, Mr. Charles Beckhart and Mr. Bart Matthews. 40 years of service, Miss Sandra Keeper. In Citizen Services, with 5 years, we have Miss Rebecca Claycomb, Miss Christina Green, Miss Nicole Renal, and Mr. Sean Euler. With 10 years, we have Miss Diane Moore Cook and Mr. Jeffrey Slayball. With 15 years of service, we have Miss Erica Starr and Miss Carol Evans. In Land and Resource Management, we have with 5 years of service, Miss Jacqueline Brethoon and Mr. Richard Walters. With 10 years of service, Miss Kimberly Dubert, Mr. Glenn Edwards, and Mr. Christopher Hine. With 25 years of service, we have Mr. Martin Covington and Mr. Michael Roberts. In the Comptroller Department, with 15 years of service, we have Miss Carrie Dalsky, and with 20 years, Miss Jennifer Hobbs. In Rec and Parks, we have with 10 years of service, Mr. Wade Blank, Miss Dawn Harry, Miss Deb Rotman, and Mr. Jay Weller. With 15 years of service, Miss Michelle Duvall, and with 30 years of service, Mr. Jeff Jacobs. In Public Safety, with 5 years of service, we have Mr. Michael Crouch, Miss Amanda Soper, Miss Kaylin Schwartzball, and Mr. Seth Weaver. With 15 years of service, Mr. Derek Dodds. In Management and Budget, with 5 years of service, Miss Chizuko Godwin, and with 15 years of service, Miss Robin Liller. In the County Attorney's Office, and sitting there with in the room is Mr. Tim Burke with 25 years of service.
And this is the year I promised to pass the bar exam.
In the Commissioner's Office, we have Mr. Benford with 5 years of service. Also sitting in the room with you, Miss Roberta Wyndham at 10 years of service. And with 15 years of service, Miss Darlene Vance.
Gonna pass it too, or just letting it go?
In comprehensive planning with 5 years of service, we have Ms. Mary Lane. With the Department of Economic Development, 5 years of service, Ms. Heather Powell. Ms. Dana Wachter, with 10 years of service, Mr. Brian Paul, and with 25 years of service, Ms. Tammy Haynes. And in Human Resources, with 10 years of service, we have Ms. Lisa Huber, and with 20 years of service, Ms. Jacqueline Bennett and Ms. Robin Hooper. And then our 5 retirees that we're also recognizing that left this year is Mr. George Shannenberger. He had 35 years. Mr. Stephen Bankert had 30 years. Ms. Wanda Brandenburg had 30 years. Mr. James Fisher, 25 years. And Mr. John Thompson, 15 years. And all those retirees came out of Public Works. So again, we absolutely appreciate all their service and all that they do. These folks have been here for quite some time and are the continue being the backbone of service for the county and the citizens. So we appreciate everything they do.
Kim, thank you very much. And
You're certainly welcome.
you know, it's obviously a challenge doing this virtually as opposed to getting them up on stage and saying thank you, looking somebody eye to eye. But I guess this is unfortunately the next best thing. But if I can go down, Commissioner Wentz.
Well, just a huge, I don't know how many are watching. I'm sure there are some, but just a huge thank you. You all know how I feel about years of service here in the county. I think maybe 50 to 55, 60% of the folks I'm related to. So congratulations to the family.
Just saying it's a tree without branches? What?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Anything else?
done.
You're done? Commissioner Weaver? It's the other 55%.
I just want to say, I think Commissioner Wance's family tree's a wreath. But anyhow, to all the people out there that put all those years in and all the help, I really appreciate the knowledge and the background you have and what you do every day for this county. And for the people retired, I'm sure they can always come back part-time for something if, in the future. So especially with our need here, I see help wanted signs everywhere. So there's opportunity for everyone, no matter what your age and if you're retired or not. So thank you for your service.
Okay. Commissioner Frazier.
Just echo my colleagues. Thank you for everything you do for the county. Thank you for years of service. Especially thank you for staying here. Once you get the job, you come here, you work. We train you, you train us, and you stay here and the institutional knowledge stays here. I really do appreciate that. But does this mean we're not having an Employee Appreciation Day? Because
That is correct. We're hoping to have something in the fall.
Okay, because I'm
so
looking forward
fingers
to playing was it cornhole with
Cornhole and pickleball.
Weaver. I think we were undefeated last year. I was undefeated in badminton. I'm just throwing it out there. We can have that stuff again. I would like to do it.
I don't remember it that way.
No, you were undefeated when you were with me. Maybe by
Yeah,
yourself you
we
were.
did great.
Okay.
Okay, since there's no relevant information being passed,
Yes,
Commissioner
okay,
Boucher?
move on.
I want to move on.
Did I mention pickleball yet? No.
No,
Go ahead.
no.
Go.
Director Frock, thanks for coming back. It's great to have you back. And as far as employees, if they're not related to Commissioner Wance, he went to school with them, I think, because I run into so many people that went to school with them. I want to state that, as a business person, I go out there looking for new customers. One of the biggest things I look for in a new potential customer is their employee turnover rate. The best customers I have the highest retention of their employees. So seeing all these employees sticking around with the county, becoming part of its long-term family is endemic of a very well-run institution. So I thank all those people for being part of our family, and I look forward to serving a lot more with them. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And just from me, again, the best thing I can just share is 2 words, thank you. And thank you for all those. You said 1,560 years of service in totality. Pretty amazing. So the selfless service they provide to our community is just wonderful. So thanks a lot, Ms. Frock, for sharing that this morning.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now let's go from new to old. And speaking of old, Commissioner Weaver, do you have a proclamation you'd like to share?
I think we're bordering on age discrimination here, Mr. Burke.
You got the children over there, you got the old guy, and you got the
Just saying,
the
just
prime
saying.
right here in the middle.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He didn't hear you. That's right.
I think it's kind of the over the hill gang over here. Okay. But on a serious note, the Older Americans Month is May 2021. The Carroll County Bureau of Aging and Disabilities has provided services to older Americans in Carroll County since 1972. That's 49 years. Whereas Older Americans Month honors the growing number of older adults throughout Carroll County during the month of May, older adults have built resilience and strength over their lives through successes, failures, joys, and difficulties. Their stories and contributions help to support and inspire others. Every day, older adults make a positive impact in our communities. Their diverse life experiences and insights enrich and strengthen our neighborhoods, workplaces, and families. This year's theme is Communities of Strength. We invite all older adults to continue making their mark in Carroll County by helping the community stay safely connected, particularly by reaching out to younger adults and adolescents who are facing difficult struggles many times for the first time in their lives. Bringing neighbors of all ages together by volunteering their time to help organize safely distanced outdoor events. Easing social isolation in their community by creating group projects. And whereas Carroll County includes a growing number of older Americans who made countless contributions to the community every day, and whereas we can recognize that Carroll County is stronger when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are included and encouraged to strengthen their communities. And whereas the Carroll County Bureau of Aging and Disabilities recognizes the importance of easing the social isolation of its citizens. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May 21 to be Older Americans Month, and the proclamation signed by all 5 county commissioners. I just want to say one other thing here. As you are an older American, we have 32 boards and commissions that need people on them. If you have some time, you want to serve, your experience is welcome in Carroll County. So thank you.
Absolutely. Great shout out. And okay, now to the rock stars of the moment, Rich and Miss Celine, over to you.
Okay. Good morning, commissioners. As you are aware, during this past year with COVID, we know that many of our older adults have become isolated. And this year, the proclamation that you just read and the focus of Older Americans Month is really to make sure that our seniors are continuing to build a strong community by their engagement and involvement and getting out in the community. During COVID, we obviously implemented a lot of different creative pieces of our puzzle in the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities to try to really engage our older adults, virtual platforms for programs. We did weekly telephonic outreach to our center members as the senior centers were closed, and we tried to keep people engaged. But really, we also know that many of the seniors across the community during this time were out there already doing that on their own. We had calls from people, how could they volunteer? What could they do in the community? They wanted to be out there to be a support in any way that they safely could. And we want to thank all of our older Americans in Carroll County and encourage them to continue to be part of our community like that. The other piece, though, that this is very timely is the reopening of our senior centers is happening at this very same time that we're celebrating Older Americans Month. And I'm going to turn it over to Rich to talk a little bit about what that looks like. And also Commissioner Frazier and Commissioner Rothstein, you were both at our first event at Westminster Senior Center last Friday. And you know what a great time that was to see our folks in person and be engaged again. So Rich, if you want to speak a little bit to your success with the reopenings.
Yeah, thank you, Celine. And thank you, commissioners, for recognizing Older Americans Month and also for your support as we reopen our senior centers. It was a great event on April 30th, last Friday. And we had over 170 people come to the event. I think it was 179. Participated in walking activities, line dancing. One of the commissioners actually did participate in a line dancing event.
I heard he was great.
Yeah. We also, thank you to Molly's Cafe at Westminster for providing food. And it was a good event, and it was a start. And since then, all 5 of our centers have provided services on a limited basis, beginning on Monday, and will continue to do so 2 days a week. Activities are limited right now as we kind of phase in and ease into bringing people back. I think the most important thing with reopening the centers, though, is it comes back to what Celine was just talking about, which is it gives people an opportunity to see one another again, to touch base with friends that they haven't necessarily been able to see over the last 14 months. And, you know, from a personal standpoint, I've been to every center this week, and that's what I'm seeing over and over again. It's not so much that the activities, which they're happy to participate in, but it's the opportunity to talk to people and just kind of touch base. And we kind of forget how important that is in people's lives. And hopefully the senior centers reopening, even on a limited basis, will continue to help folks in that regard. And so we're happy that they're open.
Okay, thanks, Rich and Celine. Really well said. Let's just quickly go around. Commissioner Boucher, any thoughts, comments?
Yes, thank you very much. I like the fact that this morning we've paid attention to both ends of the age spectrum, the youth and the elderly, because they seem to be the most acutely affected on mental health issues, especially with this lockdown. So this moving forward and opening up is fantastic. But I want to state that, you know, I thought Director Daggett told us that we're no longer older Americans, we're epic. I thought we're epic Americans now. So thank you very much.
Only for classic albums. Okay, Commissioner Frazier.
I was going to say, how could we forget about older Americans with Commissioner Weaver here, but I won't say that. But I have to say, it was a good time last Friday at Westminster Senior Center, opened that up. I'm glad it's open. I've heard from a couple of people how happy they are that the senior centers are opening up again so they can reconnect and start doing the activities they were doing again. So it's a tremendous job. And thank you for all that you do.
Okay, Commissioner Weaver.
Well, age is a state of mind.
Can you hear me?
And
Okay, go ahead.
and some of you guys, I know where your minds are not here, but anyway, I just want to say, you know, we do have a lot of knowledge out there in the elder Americans in this county, and I do like to tap into their experience for many things. Throughout life, I always had somebody older as a mentor, and I think did a lot of guidance to me as a young man, growing up as a middle-aged person, as a person reaching older middle age. I would like to say, you know, I thank a lot of the people for the guidance I had over the years, and people don't know the impact you've had on others, and sometimes you may never know. But it is nice to have somebody that has mentored you, or at least giving you direction as a younger person growing older.
Very well said. Commissioner Wance?
Yeah, that's very well said. And I'm going to pick up on that theme, but this gives me a chance to give a shout out to my mom and dad. You know, and they're in their young 80s and functioning incredibly well. And it's a sign of how many of the folks that live in Carroll that reach the senior level are just amazing. And, you know, picking up on that theme, Dick, throughout the 6.5, almost 7 years now that I've been in this seat, I have often, and in most cases, reached out to that population to get their ideas and to get their thoughts on what we're doing. And, you know, about 99% of the folks that I reach out to aren't like everybody else who engages in that dumpster of society with that stupid Facebook crap, sitting behind the keyboard, spewing out all kinds of ridiculous crap. They'll look you in the eye and they'll tell you exactly what they think we should be doing. And man, is that a good thing when they can look you in the eye. In my district, it happens all the time. And I appreciate that and honor those folks because I am sick and tired of people sitting behind the keyboard spewing out that ridiculous nonsense. These folks will look you in the eye and tell you exactly what you want to hear. Maybe you don't want to hear it, but they'll tell you. And I think it's fantastic. So kudos to that generation. And I'm going to leave it at that because I get on a rant and rave when it comes to that dumpster of our society.
Oh, that wasn't the rant and rave?
Well, it's part
Okay.
rant and rave.
Hey, as I've shared, and you've heard me say it, y'all are rock stars in what you're doing, taking, not necessarily taking care of our seniors, but facilitating opportunities for our senior community, our neighbors and friends. And we are Senior Center Strong. Really appreciate participating with Commissioner Frazier. I think he had to ice his knee all day long after that line dancing, but that's a different story. But
I
as
got a call from
Commissioner,
American Bandstand. They
until I
wanted
was
me to come.
rudely interrupted by Commissioner Frazier, I'll continue. As Commissioner Wentz shared about his parents, I'm going to see my parents tomorrow. They're 89 and 90, and they are absolutely my mentors. And, they are the rock stars in my life. Teacher and nurse, the salt of the earth, and they tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Now, I will share, my mom is getting computer savvy, which is kind of scary, when she texts or likes things on Facebook, but that's about all she does.
Yeah.
But,
that could be a little, that could be a little challenging too. My mom's
it's
kind
tough.
of there too. So, gotta be
but
careful. Mom,
again,
knock it off, Mom. Anyway.
yeah, they're the geese and you're the duckling. Just remember that. Okay. Appreciate it, Celine and Rich, for all that you're doing, and really look forward to the continuation of normalcy as we move forward in opening the senior centers more and more. As Commissioner Frazier, they're asking, what else can we open up? And they're not shy in asking either. I know that. So, okay. Anything else? Okay, let's move on. And appreciate the time spent on a lot of things happening as Priority Carroll, but let's move on to the Maryland Criminal Intelligence Network, MCIN grant application with our one only Carroll County State's Attorney, Mr. Brian DeLeonardo, Kara Lewis, and Debbie Standiford. There is the one, the only Mr. DeLeonardo.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Life is good.
Just to, before we actually begin, since you were talking about it, you were talking about the Children's Mental Awareness Month, I wanted to show you our office actually are all today in recognition of that, sporting these shirts in support of that. It certainly is a very important issue, and I appreciate everything the county's doing to recognize that, and certainly all the community partners involved. I'm also serve as a member of the Carroll County Youth Service Bureau Board of Directors, and this is a very important part, actually, in public safety. Not only the mental health of those involved, but the trauma. Addressing that trauma in a young age is one of the ways that we stem the tide of drug abuse and alcohol abuse in the future. So, when we talk about it from a health perspective, it is also very much important from a public safety perspective. So thank you for letting me have a few moments. On to our grant application, Commissioners. You may recall several years ago me coming to you with this, and I think it has been incredibly successful in the county. We continue to receive grant funding year after year. Just by way of some information, we have, if you recall, MCIN is something where we target our major offenders. These are the offenders that are prioritized with all of our police agencies. We meet regularly to identify who are our worst offenders, and we target them. And I can tell you, just in the last 2 years, we've had about 120 felony drug cases that we've been able to prosecute, along with about another 60 illegal firearms cases. So this is very significant, and we still have dozens of cases that are in active investigation now. As you can see from this, the grant application we're submitting, it requires a county contribution of $2,096. And of course, that is in total $388,555 that the county receives to support this program. So while it certainly is no free money, it's about as close as you can get from the state. And I would suggest that the $2,000 that we spend is incredibly worth it to continue this program. Tara Lewis, who's special counsel with me, sitting with me now, has done a wonderful job in working up the grant and overseeing the program. And we certainly stand ready for any questions you may have.
No, to me, it sounds great. And I remember Commissioner Wance and I attending an MCIN session, I think it was about a year and a half ago, over at the training center. And I am all about collaboration when it comes to intelligence and analytic work, as that's where I lived my life for a long, long, long time. So you've come a long ways in a very short time with the MCIN. So thank you. Any other comments or?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, this might be the perfect example of how we leverage the grant money that we get with a little bit of county resources. So that, that this is over the top here. So I think it's wonderful. So unless anybody else wants to say anything, we can say after I say this, but I'll make the motion that we approve the submission of the 22 Maryland Criminal Intelligence Network grant application and then accept the award.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and second. Any further conversation, discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you, sir.
All right, well,
That
thank
was
you so much.
Okay, let's move on to request approval to submit the FY22 Homeless Solutions Program, HSP, grant application and accept the award. And Celine, I think you're going to be on for a few. So we have Celine, Deb, and Danielle. So take it away.
That's correct. And I am here for a few approvals for award and acceptance of some grants. And I do want to just state in advance of all of them that we are not asking you for money. We are bringing you money. So I know you like to hear that. Start off with a positive. So I did want to say that what we're here before you first for is that the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Connections each year provides us with funding to support our homeless services in the county. Our funding for FY22 is held flat to the FY21 funding, with the exception of our youth rapid rehousing. The rapid rehousing program does have an additional need that we can demonstrate. So we will be asking for an additional amount of money in our request for that funding this year. I do want to just walk through the projected budget and the services that we provide with this funding. And I do want to identify that all of the county match that's required for this grant has already been allocated through the yet to be approved FY22 budget process. So these are already included in that budget. This funding goes towards the Night by Night shelter and the adult shelter run by HSP. The grant request is $199,000 with county match of $266,000 for a total of $466,000. It also goes to operate the family shelter with a county match of $146,000. It also assists with adult and family rapid rehousing stipend, and for staffing resources, the grant is $132,000 with a county match of $4,000 for a total of $137,000. Shelter administration going to HSP, the county match there is $126,000. The youth rapid rehousing, and we consider youth in this program 18 to 24 years old, providing stipends for their housing. We are asking for $250,000 this year. There is no county match requirement there. That is up from the $60,000 we currently have for rapid rehousing for youth. And that's very important so we can target that population this year. We also have outreach funding, $750, and administrative funding that comes to the county as well. As the grantee, we subgrant a lot of this funding, as you can see, to HSP, who is our sheltering service provider. And we provide, as the Department of Citizen Services, the fiscal oversight and program oversight for the subgrants. So we are asking that you approve our application and acceptance of the award for this funding.
Thank you, Celine. Any questions, comments? The only the question I have is, are we seeing a change in demographics over the years when it comes to homelessness? You know, I've shared interest in our veterans' homelessness, but are we seeing transient homelessness coming from other places, coming down here, and then finding themselves, you know, in a challenged situation? I mean, how is that? Are we able to track that?
We do track that. Danielle, I see your microphone come on?
Okay, so Celine is correct. We do track that. I don't think that we have seen a rise in that population or, you know, individuals coming from other counties or locations. But that is something that we do track and, you know, make sure we keep, we're aware of in case there is a problem that arises.
Okay.
I was wondering, did the pandemic have a negative impact upon this issue? I mean, did it escalate homelessness? How did the pandemic intertwine with this issue?
I will say that when we look at the number of folks that we have served through coordinated entry, which is our kind of gatekeeper for homeless services, that has reduced over this past year. And we believe there's some differences because of that. Number one would be because of the eviction moratorium, where some of the folks that we would see losing their housing because they've been evicted have not been evicted. Another piece of it may be because of the pandemic. We found that some family members are much more accepting of someone that has maybe some behavioral health and addiction issues, where they would not allow them to stay at their house anymore, but during the pandemic may have allowed them to come back in, so they were not out on the streets. But we're still, as a team, kind of reviewing all of that. We have a strategic planning session coming up as our COC executive committee later this month to really drill down on where we think our services need to go.
Thank you. That was a great analogy.
Okay, anything else?
I'll make the motion. The Board of County Commissioners approve the submission of the FY22 Homeless Solutions Grant application and accept the award.
Second.
Okay, I think I got a motion and I think I got about 3 seconds on that one. So any further discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, let's move on, Celine, to the state FY21 Emergency Housing Program, EHP, grant application and award.
Okay, and so Debbie and Danielle are with me again with this application. The Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development received funding under the State Relief Act to assist households experiencing homelessness to be connected with emergency shelter, to quickly regain stability and permanent housing, and to prevent households from becoming homeless. This funding does expire on June 30th of 22. We are projecting to subgrant these funds again to HSP. One of the purposes of the funding that we identified a need for is to provide an additional full-time case management position that would continue to do outreach and also make sure that we are reaching out to the outlying jurisdictions, the municipalities within the county, looking at, you know, the Tawnytown, Mount Airy, Sykesville areas to make sure that we are reaching all of those folks that may be experiencing or at risk of homelessness in those areas. We are also looking to continue the current day center operations. HSP is operating and has been, as a result of COVID, a day center for homeless individuals. This day center currently operates from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. Currently, it's in the St. Paul's Church location on Bond Street in Westminster. This location provides services for financial education, case management support, assistance in finding housing for homeless individuals, as well as meals and other supports that these individuals and connections to resources for folks that are experiencing homelessness. So we are going to extend that from July through January with this funding. So that's an important piece of this as well. The total, and then the county will have some administrative costs that we will incur. So we will keep a portion of that money for admin, and the total grant is $189,968. And so we would again be providing oversight and fiscal and programmatic monitoring with HSP with the admin money for the county staff. So, and we're asking that you approve the submission and application of this and the award acceptance for this grant.
Okay, thanks, Celine. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll move the Board of Commissioners approve the submission of the FY21 Emergency Homeless Grant Program grant application and accept the award.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you very much, Danielle. You get to stick with us, Deb. And let's bring Rich, I think, on for the request approval to make application and accept the award for the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission 2021 Relief Act DDA grant funding for the Senior Inclusion Program. There you are, Rich. Okay. Go ahead, Celine.
Okay, and so again, this is a new funding source for us. This has really come about as a result of DDA providers losing some of their revenue for their programs, and they're providing an opportunity for us to recoup some of the revenue loss that we have had because of the COVID pandemic and having to shut down services for a period of time and then operate on a very limited basis while COVID was really at its highest peak. So the Maryland Community Health Resource Commission is issuing an emergency relief call for proposals for Title VII Developmental Disability Administration providers, which our Senior Inclusion Program is a day habilitation provider of these services. And so we are able to show that we've had a revenue loss over a 3-month period of time, and we are making application for the award amount that we are eligible for, and that would be $12,000 to bring back funding to supplement our lost revenue. So we are asking that the board allow us to submit this application and then accept the award for this funding. And there's no county match.
I like that last part.
Sold.
Okay, any questions on this? No?
I move the Board of Commissioners approve the application acceptance of the award of the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission 2021 Relief Act DDA grant funding for the Senior Inclusion Program.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and I got a second. Anything further? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
All 5-0. Rich, get back to work. And let's bring Bobby in for expanding access to COVID-19 vaccines via the Aging Network.
Okay.
And there's Bobby. Okay.
So
Go ahead.
Roberta Lawrence is with us now. She is our Aging Disability Services Supervisor. And this is another new funding source for us. The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 was signed into law on December 27th of 2020, and it provides funding for regular Older American Act programming and extends flexibilities provided in the Family First Coronavirus Response Act and the CARES Act. And this funding was really targeted for a very specific purpose. And that was to help us increase vaccinations among older adults and people with disabilities. And it has very specific requirements for that. And so we are going to work in tandem with Ed Singer in the health department to really see how we can supplement the fantastic work they've already done. At this point, we have almost 85%, and it may be over 85% at this point, of our older adults age 65 and older are vaccinated. So we have a very small amount of folks that we are going to target with this funding, but we are going to be very aggressive because I know that Ed has a goal of getting to 90% vaccination for that population in Carroll County, and we are going to support that effort. So our plan is to hire part-time staff to help with some outreach, doing some mailers, obviously marketing with telephone calls, and providing also, we're looking to develop a testimonial type commercial with people that have had vaccinations in that age group that we can then market to folks as well to make sure that they're coming in and getting their vaccines. So the total award for this is $18,437. That was a direct allocation for our county based on formula funding. The staffing amount would be $15,337, marketing $3,000, and then printing and supplies for $100. And we're just asking that you allow us to make application and accept the award.
Okay, thank you. And I know that Maggie and Chris Weinbrenner are also putting their heads together on the marketing strategies as well. So I imagine they or expect that they are working with you in concert in this. So I appreciate we all got to get vaccinated. So, okay, are there any discussion? Again, I like that match. So,
I'll make the motion that we approve the acceptance of the award for the expanding access to COVID-19 vaccines via the Aging Network.
Second.
okay, got a motion second. Any discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Deb, you're the strong silent type. I appreciate it.
Thank you, commissioners.
We are here for you. Thank you so much. Okay, now let's move on to Public Works. And with Doug and Chris talking about the request approval to use a term contract for pavement condition surveys. There's Doug, there's Chris. Okay, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. We have a few exciting, to steal Andy's saying, roadway and bridge projects this morning. As part of the Department of Public Works Pavement Asset Management Program, we conduct a pavement condition survey of 925 centerline miles of asphalt roadways every 2 years. This field survey identifies critical distresses in our roadways and is inputted in our Agile Assets Pavement Management software, which is utilized to develop our annual pavement management program. This is one of the tools we utilize to make sure we're performing the right treatment to the right roadways at the right time. Kircher Engineering has been performing the condition surveys for Carroll County for several years. Are there any questions?
So how long does it take them to do this, Chris? First of all, congratulations on your length of service award too, by the way. But is this an annual thing? Are they doing this in a year, or what are we doing here, Chris?
They should take about 2 to 3 months to complete this work. We'll be starting this spring.
Okay.
And we do this biannually, Commissioner.
Okay. And I guess the roadways that are involved in this report and survey, that they've already been predetermined, or how does that work?
They're all our paved roadways.
Oh,
every
so
paved roadway in the entire county.
Oh, okay. So this is doing the whole thing. Okay. Okay. Good.
Yes, sir. Just to this does allow us. We don't guess, as you guys know, when we bring stuff to you. So every 2 years we do a complete survey of roads because they do change, obviously due to traffic and other conditions. They go into the algorithm, and that's how we determine what our priority is to bring before you for funding for any given year.
Okay.
In a few minutes, we'll be talking about the final product of this in one of our pavement management program.
Okay.
Says this is from a term contract. How long is the term? And do we solicit when at the end of the term for other people that might want to do this, other companies?
Yes, we do. When the term contract is up, we will put it out to bid to see if there's anyone else. We have looked at automating this using some software, and the pricing we got was about 3 times the price using a automated software computer camera system.
All right. Okay, any further comments,
No.
questions?
I move we approve using the term contract with Kircher Engineering to complete the pavement condition surveys in the amount of $81,760.
Second.
Okay, got a motion in a couple seconds. Anything further? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's 5-0. Let's move on to requesting the approval to use the current term contract for structure condition inspection, evaluation, and reporting of Carroll County's minor bridges. And, yep, Doug and Chris, go for it.
Thank you. As part of our bridge program, we must complete inspections of our minor structures, which are classified as minor structures by Federal Highway Administration, when they're less than 20 feet. These inspections are completed by trained inspectors in accordance with the National Bridge Inspection Standards Program, with the final inspection report being signed and sealed by a professional engineer. This round of inspections will start in July of 2021 and finish up in July of 2023, and will inspect all 20 of our minor structures. 4 of the structures' conditions warrant that we perform annual inspections on these structures. So we'll have a total of 24 inspections in this program. These inspections ensure that our structures remain in a safe operating condition, and any areas of concern are noted that we can make necessary repairs and revise the structure posting if needed. This work is being performed using one of MDOT-SHA's current consultants, Wallace Montgomery and Associates. It's the first time we worked with them in this type of work, but they've done a lot of work for us in bridge design, roadway design, and other traffic-related projects.
Okay.
24 bridges.
The LLP, what is that behind Wallace Montgomery and Associates?
You saying what is the acronym LLP?
Yeah.
That's
Limited
Is it legal?
liability
yeah,
partnership.
Yeah, it's a limited
yeah, it's a
partnership.
limited partnership.
Oh,
Yeah.
partner. Okay.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
Um,
Mr. Wallace and Mr. Montgomery probably set that up with a
Right.
very high-powered attorney.
One who
saying
passed the bar
LLC,
25 years
Yeah,
ago.
one that passed the bar, actually passed the bar, correct, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
they probably wear power ties, Mr. Burke. Just saying. Okay. What else?
I'll make the motion, we approve the term contract with Wallace Montgomery and Associates,
Second.
LLP, just for you. For the structure, condition, inspection, evaluation, and reporting the Carroll County's minor bridge structures in the amount of $74,309.34.
Second.
Okay, got a motion in a couple seconds. Anything else?
Hey, is that all our bridges, Chris? That's the total, 24?
Those are just the minor ones, just a small, really small
Right.
structure.
What's a minor bridge versus a major bridge? I don't know.
20 feet, 20 feet or less.
Oh, got it. Okay. So this does those old. I got quite a few. I think. Well, they used to call them Bailey bridges in my district. They still. Well, I don't know what they call them now, but
Minor.
they're minor. Yeah. Okay.
Do they have bridges?
Yeah.
Some of those are more than 20 feet, so they'd be considered a major structure.
Oh, really? Okay. Crazy. All right.
Okay, I had a motion and I think a couple seconds. Anything further? Seeing here none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5-0. Thank you. Now let's talk about hot mix asphalt paving. Chris, I think you're staying on. I don't know if Doug, you're staying on, but is Maureen coming? There you are, Miss Maureen.
Yes, good morning,
Let's talk about
Commissioners.
2021 hot mix asphalt paving with
Yes,
alternate A, B, and C. Go ahead.
We are requesting your approval to award a contract for the 2021 hot mix asphalt paving to Gray and Son in the amount of $5,314,131.50. The county advertised for bids and received 4 responses. The bid amount is within the adopted budget and no additional funds should be necessary. And I can turn it over to Chris and Doug if you have any questions about the project itself.
Thank you.
Roads.
Yeah.
So as we were talking about before, we do our condition survey and the final product is actually going out and making the necessary repairs. So for our second contract this year, what we call our 21R2 contract, includes 30 roadways, 22 miles. We'll be doing full depth reclamation, milling, asphalt, base and surface courses, inlet adjustments, shoulder backup, maintenance of traffic. It's a fairly large project with 145 working days, and Gray & Sons has completed similar work for us in the past.
So what's the deal on adding the alternate contracts?
So we were a little concerned about our estimates and our pricing, and we had seen some competitive pricing in our first contract, and we were hoping to see that same competitive pricing in our second one, but wanted to give us the ability if we did not. So we wanted to get as much as we could get done with the money that was allocated. And the contractors sharpened their pencils. At least the first three did. They sharpened their pencils and came in with some very good pricing. So that's why we included the alternates.
Yeah, and commissioners, with the continual change and fluctuation in prices of asphalt, we absolutely want to take advantage of everything we can for, again, the continued lowest prices this year, to do as much as we can. And I would interject that all three of the projects that you all have considered and now approved too are just a testament to what you're doing to continue to support and maintain all of the infrastructure in Carroll County. And we thank you for doing that. We appreciate it.
I think more importantly, the community appreciates it. We're getting a lot done. So
I'll move
Yes,
that
you are.
more commissioners award the contract for 2021 hot mix asphalt paving 2 with alternates A, B, C to Gray and Son Incorporated in the amount of $5,314,131.15.
Second.
I don't know, that 15 cents is kind of awkward, but I guess we'll have to deal with it. I got a motion in a couple seconds. Any comments of relevance? Seeing, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
5-0.
Comments of relevance.
Yeah. In other words, me.
Thank you, commissioners.
You're absolutely welcome. Okay. Now, let's see if Mr. Singer can join us. And before, Ed, you start into comments, were there any state directives that I didn't see much of? I know the governor has authorized outdoor, gatherings, restaurants and things like that. No large gatherings, but, without face masks. Was there anything else that we
I
saw?
don't think so.
No.
To my knowledge.
Okay.
I know that the state calls, they're doing every other week now.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, I don't know.
And then, Ed, what I'd like, to hear from you, well, I think all of us would, is the vaccine's available and, what you're seeing as well, obviously. So, Ed, let me turn it over to you this time.
Okay, clicking too many times and muting and unmuting myself. Good morning, commissioners. There's I guess a lot to be said about things getting back to normal, and I'm really happy to see that. And it was great to be out at the senior center with a couple of you on last Friday, and to be able to be outside. And it's kind of getting unusual for people to be around others and even be able to take the mask off. We took a children's mental health matters that we had the proclamation for picture this morning. And I was like, folks, we're outside. It's, most of the people in the group are vaccinated. It's okay for us to take off our mask and take a picture. So we're making progress. And I've got a slide that actually from the CDC that talks about that some. Just talking about a little bit, just general comments about why people, first of all, the vaccine is widely available now. Supply is no longer a problem. We're operating at least 3 days a week out of the town center over at the old Sears at the Westminster Town Center Mall. And people can come up, and we prefer people to register in advance. It makes the process go a little more smoothly and get you through the line a little quicker. But if you walk up and you just happen to be there that day when we're running a clinic, we'd be glad to take you and get you vaccinated. So I think this is what's going to get us back to really get us back to normal. And it's interesting because the nursing homes, there's been some changes there. Now people that are being admitted to nursing homes don't have to stay in quarantine for 14 days. If they've been fully vaccinated, they can just go in and be admitted directly in the nursing homes. There's guidance out that in nursing homes, if they have visitation, that they're allowing close contact with loved ones as long as everybody in the room is fully vaccinated. You can take the mask off, and they're allowing the seniors to have group meals and things of that nature. That if people are fully vaccinated, now if they're not, the old rules still apply, which kind of make things a little bit more difficult for some of our long-term care facilities to manage. That said, it's good to see those getting back to normal. but why should other people get vaccinated, especially younger people? And, you know, some of the things I'm looking at is like, you don't have to worry about getting tested or quarantining after travel. There's some places that have restrictions on being able to travel, whether you're vaccinated or not. And just, I was talking to some McDaniel students and I said, well, how many of you guys have been, you know, quarantined or in isolation this year? And how inconvenient was that? And how inconvenient was that for the college to have to manage? And if people are vaccinated and they're exposed, we're not requiring them to quarantine. So it keeps you from having, you know, that 10-day period out of your life where everything's disrupted and you miss classes and things of that nature. And when we get to the younger population being able to get vaccinated, and I want to say something about how we're going to approach that when we get into the slides. But with the younger people, you know, we wouldn't have to have them quarantining and missing school. We won't have to have them potentially quarantining and having parents miss work. So we're encouraging people to get vaccinated. And, you know, eventually we want to get back to the point where you don't have to wear your mask into the bar or restaurant when you're when you're going there. And I imagine as a larger percentage of the population gets vaccinated, the governor will consider lifting some of those restrictions. But you know, it's much safer if you're vaccinated. And I've got a slide that talks about that today too. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into the slides and encourage people to come on out and get vaccinated. Whoops, did I share the wrong screen? Yeah, I've got the wrong screen up here. Let's see if I can, hold on a second. There we go. All right. Way down into the slideshow already. Just on the case levels, we've been looking at these things related to the school metrics for the last several weeks. And as you can see, and you're going to see this in some of the other slides, there's a slight uptick in cases. And really, I consider this to be really relatively flat. I mean, it's a very minor blip on the radar, I think, where we are. This week, the case numbers are down again. So I don't think this shows a significant trend. And when you look at the slide that we have for the 14-day rolling average, that kind of, I think, illustrates it better. This are case rates by week. And as you notice, the bar graph's a little bit higher this week than it was last week, but I don't think that's significant. Here's our 14-day rolling average, which I think this really helps show our trends. And we're not trending up. We're still on that downward trend with the 14-day rolling average. And I think next week we'll see that this is just a little glitch that we had this week, that we had more cases than the previous week. And I believe we're still on a downward trend. Important thing is our case rates, even though they're up this week in general, amongst our 65 plus, those are still our lowest case rates, and our 45 to 64-year-olds that are highly vaccinated are also, you know, still much lower than they had been comparatively to other populations. Our hospitalizations, the hospital's still seeing about 20 cases of COVID positive patients in the hospital. However, you can tell they're moving in a positive direction too, because they're talking about potentially taking down some of their surge capacity. I think everybody feels like we're in a place where maybe we've hit the final hump and we want to get to the point where we can put this behind us. Again, those vaccinations are going to be important. Our hospitalization and deaths by age group. We had a couple of deaths, one community death and one facility death last week. Okay, so we were talking about vaccine and the availability of vaccine, and you know, I'm pretty sure that we can get enough vaccine to meet whatever demand we have here in Carroll County. I mean, we're gonna see a little bit of a surge when we have the adolescents are eligible for vaccination, and that's only going to be with Pfizer initially. And I guess I want to share. First of all, we've opened all of our clinics publicly. You can search them in a application called PrepMod. But if you go out on our website, you can find our clinics linked there, and a link that'll get you to a place where you can sign up for clinics. And what the dates are So we just want to make it easy for people to get vaccinated. The health department, in conjunction with our partners, have given over 40,000 shots. I just, while I'm on this slide, I'll go ahead and mention that as it looks like we're going to get a authorization for the people over 12 to be vaccinated. And what my plan is, I've already talked to Leslie Simmons over at LifeBridge, is I'd like to ask the state to give LifeBridge some additional Pfizer vaccine because they have the logistics to handle that. And we're going to partner with them. They're going to bring the vaccine out. We'll run a clinic at the Sears. It'll be closed just to ages 12 to 17 with the Pfizer vaccine to concentrate on trying to vaccinate as many adolescents that want to be vaccinated at that point in time. And I'm hoping that within a week of the authorization being given, that we can get the vaccine. I've already been talking to people at the state level. Dr. Wolfert, who had worked with us before on things, is now communicating a lot better with the health officers. And I've reached out to him and said, hey, how do I get a hold of some Pfizer vaccines so we can vaccinate the youth if they're in adolescents, if they're interested once we get this authorization. And so I'm still waiting to hear back on specifically how that'll work, but I'm hoping that as soon as the authorization's given within a week or a week and a half, we're going to plan on having a Saturday clinic. That way it doesn't interfere with school, and most parents would be able to come because it wouldn't interfere with work. Now I realize that, sports happen on the weekend, but we'll run it essentially all day. That way some people who are available in the morning can come in the morning, people available in the afternoon can come in the afternoon. But again, that clinic would only be open to the adolescents so that we could maximize our ability to get Pfizer vaccine to that age group. There are about, I was looking yesterday, there are about 8,000 people, I think, in Carroll County that are between the ages of 12 and 15 that aren't currently eligible to be vaccinated, that will be eligible to be vaccinated when and if the federal government approves vaccination for that age group. This is a graph of our percentage of vaccination, and this is based on the total population. We're at a higher rate based on the people that are eligible to be vaccinated, and we'll share that in a slide in a minute. But I do see one of the things I told you I was concerned about last week is that seeing the flattening of the top line a little bit because we're not having as much demand for the vaccine, and I'm hoping we can continue to improve our numbers and improve our percentage vaccinated. But that curve is starting to flatten out a little bit on the top, and we want to keep it going upward until we get to the point where we have a lot of people vaccinated. This is a percent vaccinated by age group. I think this chart is very telling. As you know, we've done a very good job of getting people over 65 vaccinated. We're at 85%. But as you see, as we get younger and younger, people who are eligible to be vaccinated, we have less and less of a percentage of those people vaccinated. And I already talked a little bit about why I thought it was important for young people to be vaccinated. It'll help you a lot with being able to get back to normal activities and also help keep you from being inconvenienced if you're exposed and keep you from having to be quarantined and mess up your life for a week and a half. This is our chart with race and ethnicity. I think we've done a great job with most populations except for the relatively small Hispanic population we have here in Carroll County. And we've gone to a Hispanic mass, and we vaccinated 235 people after that were of Hispanic origin. We're going back to do second doses, and at that same time we'll accept walk-ups. And I think it's just a matter of getting people comfortable. That population is not real comfortable interacting with the government, and they've been a little bit harder for us to reach. But we're going to continue to work at it and see what progress we can make. This is our 65 plus. As I said, I think we've done a really good job with most equity with the race and ethnicity groups. Still struggling a bit with the Hispanic population, as you can see from the charts here. So this is an important one. If you want to get vaccinated, you can walk up today at the mall from 9 to 1 at the Sears, and we'll be glad to vaccinate you. Some people really want the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We have a vaccination clinic tomorrow from 9 to 1. Single dose Johnson & Johnson vaccination is available. That's available by walk-up, or you can sign up and make the process a little easier on yourself on our website. Use the link and go ahead and register yourself for the clinic. We have a clinic on May the 11th from 3 to 7. We're trying to do the evening so that it's convenient for people. And a clinic on May the 13th from 3 to 7.
Times have changed. Haven't they?
I wanted to share this chart with you guys because I think it's very telling about. So the left-hand side is what the CDC considers to be safe if you're not vaccinated, and the right-hand side is what the CDC considers to be safe if you are fully vaccinated. And there are a lot of things that have few restrictions other than suggesting that face coverings would be appropriate if you're fully vaccinated. It helps you a lot with travel, larger gatherings. I mean, it talks about outdoor gatherings. As I mentioned, we did our picture today without a mask because the great majority of the people were unvaccinated. There were a few people that kept their mask on, but these things that we feel that we can safely do now without these types of restrictions. Even the dining at an outdoor restaurant with friends and people from multiple households without a mask is considered to be pretty safe if you're fully vaccinated. And you get into it being less safe if you're not vaccinated. So I guess what I would tell you all is that if we want to get back to being able to live our lives more like it was pre-COVID, we need to get everybody's cooperation in trying to get vaccinated so that we can keep this disease from spreading in our community. And this chart's available on the CDC website. It kind of talks about those activities that would be and wouldn't be appropriate based on your vaccination status. And there are things on here I like to do. I like gathering with friends. I like going and seeing sporting events. And those things are considered to be safe. Some of them still make me feel a little queasy just because we've gotten the habit of not being close and trying to keep our distance and that type of thing. But I'm really confident in the vaccine. I knew when I stood up in front at the senior center and was able to talk to people and be close to people without a mask on, that I'm very confident that the vaccine's 95% effective. I'm very unlikely to get infected at this point because I'm vaccinated. I'm very unlikely to wind up in the hospital, and I'm really unlikely to die from this. And that's the important part of this vaccine, is protecting people and getting us back to normal life. Just our website, as I normally share, and then the opportunity for any questions that you all might have.
Okay, Ed, let's take down the slide if you would. Thank you so much. Any questions, comments?
Mr. Singer, if you're confident that being vaccinated prevents you from contracting the disease or spreading it, why is it necessary for vaccinated people to be masked?
I'm looking for, I can't find my daggone, I lost you guys. There we go. It's not 100% effective in keeping people from getting the disease if they're exposed to somebody who is infected. It's possible, but the likelihood is greatly reduced when we have once you're vaccinated.
Because I think it's been advocated time and time again to help to get the vaccination rates up, is if we promote the fact that being vaccinated will prevent you from not only contracting or spreading it, that would help motivate people to get vaccinated.
I think what I really think, and I can't speak for the governor, but I really think where the governor is on this right now is that they'd like to lift the mask requirement, but they feel like we need to get more people, a larger percentage of the population, to be vaccinated in order for this to be safe. And they're essentially following that CDC guidance. And you saw the chart that was up there, and we're going to share that on our website if you want to go look at the chart. It talks about what they think safe, masked, unmasked, and vaccinated and unvaccinated. It'll give you a little bit of information on that, but there's never a no-risk scenario. And right now, I think with the percentage of the population that's vaccinated, there's some places where we believe as the folks in public health that that there's still some risk and want to mitigate that risk until the point we get more people vaccinated. And I do think as we get to, the 70, 75%, that all may change. We've seen our first changes. We feel it's safe to be outside. It's well ventilated. There's nothing restricting airflow and things outside. And even having people who are vaccinated mixing with unvaccinated people, there's little to no risk for those people that are vaccinated when you're outside. I think the level of risk that indoors, as we've known all throughout this pandemic, because it's a respiratory disease and spread through the air, that when we're indoors, there's still a little bit higher risk, and there's still a need to wear a mask for a period of time until we get a larger portion getting towards the herd immunity that you all often refer to. So I think we're getting close, and I can't say for sure, but if we make progress by the summertime, maybe we could be done with with some of the mask requirements that we presently have. And I've got to support where the governor is on this. He's following the CDC recommendations, and we'll get through this, but we need everybody's support in the community to make it happen.
Mr. Singer, I appreciate that explanation, because it's the decisions I think we follow are above us locally and above us on the state level. These things come down from the federal government, and I'm very much looking forward to this warm weather coming and kayaking with you without masks.
Okay, any other comments? Ed, first and foremost, happy belated birthday, as it was your birthday last week. You talked about risk, and that's a world you and I lived with for many years, and I know Commissioner Wance also within the fire department. Everything is associated with risk, and it's not so much mitigating it, but it's minimizing it. And it's the risk will be there. In order to minimize it, that's why we wear the masks, and that's why we get vaccinated. And I've said it before, I truly believe it. Leaders lead by example by wearing the masks and doing what's right. Leaders lead by example by getting vaccinated appropriately. I mean, that's what we're being asked to do. I do not believe in passports or cards and carrying those things around, but I do believe in setting the example. And like Commissioner Wance said, don't hide behind the keyboards of social media with opining on whether masks and vaccines are good or bad. We got to get through this. So whatever you can do to help us continue that message. I know, again, Maggie and Chris are working that. I did see the poster with your pretty face on it with your quote. And I think...
Did you say pretty?
Well, pretty in a...
Just checking. I thought I misheard that.
No, it was pretty. Okay. It's the eye of the beholder. Leave me alone. I'm allowed to say that. But anyway, until I was rudely interrupted again, those that wish
you were interrupted, not rude.
From us to participate in messaging, we can do that with Chris and with Maggie, showing that we've been vaccinated. They're asking for quotes on why we believe it's important. And I believe they're also going to go to other leaders within our community to try to target those that are not vaccinated, giving them the good reasons why they should be vaccinated. So if you do want to participate, and I think all of us sitting here, I see a lot of head nodding, that may be something that we can get just with Chris and Chris Swam with whatever it may take, and we'll move forward. And I know Maggie's been a part of that. Go ahead.
We and I could participate together, be like the young and the old, just like we had the proclamations.
See, and there it is again.
You're not that far.
Hey. So, are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. So, probably a good thing, because it was getting out of control there. Ed, it seems just like yesterday where we were sitting here talking about the fact that that you and Ed and everybody here was trying to do all that they could, to get shots in arms here and getting vaccines in the county. And now we're to the point where you can just walk in at the mall where there's plenty of parking. Let that alone. And just do this. So on the theme of messaging, how are we getting the word out now? Because I've talked to, I've been to some of my grandson's baseball games over the last 3-4 nights, and I've talked to a lot of younger moms and dads, and they don't know that they can get vaccinated by just walking in now. How are we getting the messaging out? Because I think that's going to go a long way in trying to get that age group, like 30 to 55, shots in the arms. What are we doing for that?
Well, we're working with all of our community partners to try to get the word out as best we can. And I'm just thinking, as you were talking, Commissioner Wance, maybe one of the places the best work with to get people. And there's a press release that just went out, and I appreciate you. Somebody put that. I don't know if everybody in the public can see that. But we just put a press release out yesterday, and maybe we, with our Rec and Parks programs, maybe we put messaging out through the school system. We've actually done a survey to find out how many people would be interested in having their children vaccinated when this opens up to people that are 12 years old and older. And we'll continue to do messaging through the school system. But I'm thinking maybe we might be able to work with Recreation and Parks to get some additional information out, because I think a lot of those people in that targeted age group probably have kids that are in our recreation council programs and are involved in those type of activities. And just making people aware that these clinics are available through that means might be a good way to reach people. And thanks for mentioning that, because it just kind of a light bulb went off in my head that might be a good way to reach some more people. We've done a lot with our communications campaigns to get the most vulnerable populations vaccinated. And we've done a great job with that. Now we just need to figure out how to best reach those younger people.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I hear all the time, when you see Johnny O's face all over the place on WBAL and Calvin Ball and Brandon Scott. I understand we're not sexy enough here in Carroll to get all over Channel 11 and Channel 13 or 45 or whatever. But somehow we've got to reach that group of people to say, hey, you can walk in and it's probably going to take you about 15 minutes out of your day, because the way you guys have the process set up, you get your shot, wait for 15, and then you're out. So maybe 20 minutes of your day. It's so easy, and it's going to get us back to normal so much more rapidly. There's got to be a way that, and I know, not everybody watches those channels either, but I don't know what it is. A front page Carroll County Times article. I mean, only a quarter of the people in the county get the Carroll County Times, I realize, but I don't know what the answer is. But there's got to be a way that we just start spreading the word to everybody that it's easy now. Yeah. It's easy.
And just along those lines, Commissioner, some of the things we've got planned to try to make it easier is we're looking at taking our RV and potentially taking it on the road to places like if some of the fire departments decide to run carnivals this year, we may go there, or we may go to some of these other festivals, or maybe we'll come to 4th of July fireworks, and as people are coming in, we can be set up, and anybody that wants to get vaccinated can walk up and do it. We're trying to find creative ways like that, because before, where the demand was such that we had a hard time keeping people who didn't belong in our clinics out. Now we're at the point where we just need to make it convenient for people to easily get the vaccination. So we've got some ideas on that as well, where we're going to try to go to where groups of people might be gathering outside and whatnot, so that they could easily just walk up and get vaccinated.
This is Carroll County. I think we should team up with our farmers and give away free bacon with every vaccination.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but I try to do. I mean, I'll be at another game tonight, and I'm gonna be shouting it loud and clear to everybody that you can just walk in now and go to the website and see where it is. But I hope those folks are listening. I mean, I know we've got a very small amount of folks listening here today, so got to get the word out. And I don't know how that is.
Well, I think Parks and Rec may be a good way as well. But I think it's a combination. Those are, and Chris Wham, thanks for sharing the press release and the marketing pieces. That's a piece of it. The newspaper, the Parks and Rec, and other places. But yeah, we'll we got to continue to brainstorm it because we're not going to get through this unless we get vaccinated and everybody does it, the best to their ability. So, okay. Any final thoughts, Ed?
Just thank you, commissioners, and thanks for your continued support. I'm hoping, you don't like my word hope, but I'm hopeful that this summer we're going to be back to much closer to normal by the time we get through the summertime.
Okay, bear with me, Ed. Go ahead, Commissioner Boucher.
I want to applaud Commissioner Wance for his attending those Little League functions because we all know how important they are as commissioners interact with our constituents. You meet so many people at these sporting events, and I think people like being accessible to us. So those events are a great opportunity to interact and talk to your constituents. So thank you very much.
Well, then that goes to all of you, everybody, when you're attending these events. Whether you like it or not. And, it's interesting to me because I spoke about the Facebook and how that's a huge dumpster. But when you're talking to some of I talked to some of the older folks at some of these games and they're like, yeah, I got mine. I didn't know that. I'm going to pass it on. So it's, you run that whole gamut of people, and we're not going to get back to any normalcy here until we get shots in the arms. And
I agree.
That chart, as you said, Ed, is very telling because from about 30 to 55, the percentages are way low. And it just, people make a huge big deal about putting these things on their faces. So you know how you can get these off? Get a vaccine.
So for me, I happen to be at Beck's and Market Tavern 1623. Not sure there's a theme there, but I had talked to other friends and neighbors about it as well. That's where they congregate. Yeah. And 1623 was packed this weekend because it was a beautiful weekend. So the reason they're able to do that is, again, doing what's right. So, okay. I believe we've got enough of this going on. Any final thoughts, comments? Okay, again, Ed, thank you so much for all that you're doing.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the support. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's talk about, it is time to discuss the renewal of our state of emergency for our county. Is there any discussion on this at this time?
Well, I've been the one most vocal about it, maintaining consistency, and I know we're ever so closer here, and I think for me it continues to be not the fact that we're in it, but the fact that we send messaging, and if I'm going to be telling folks that we can get the masks off everybody's faces that apparently are just so terrible, and you can get vaccines, but yet we go ahead and say, well, we're out of the state of emergency. It's sort of like talking out of both sides of your mouth. It's a matter of perspective when it comes to that. Now, I will say that the closer we get to normalcy here, I think we're getting ever so closer to being out of that. But we've also been very consistent with the state. In every decision that's come down from Annapolis or wherever, I understand through the grapevine that they're this close to relaxing that state of emergency. So in the interest of maintaining consistency and proper messaging, I just think we need to stay until they drop it. And I think that's going to be very, very soon. That's my 5 cents.
We've had the we and me mentality over the period of time. We have to do whatever it takes to get out of this pandemic as together. And we have to kind of overcome that me mentality where we're looking at, well, you're infringing on my rights. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. But if we work together as we'll all get out of this. If we stay with the me mentality, it's going to be very hard to get out of this as fast as we want to. So I'm here, we have to work together to overcome the me mentality in this, and everybody get vaccinated, everybody get wear the mask for a short period of time. We'll keep the state of emergency short period of time, consistent with the state of Maryland. And let's get through this thing. And like Ed said, by midsummer, I hope we're out of this, or at least to a point where we're back to most 99% normalcy. I'm hoping that can happen.
Okay.
I have to say, well, be honest with you, I don't think we need to be in a state of emergency any longer. However, I do agree that the messaging is very important. And I think what Commissioner Weaver said, we over me, is very important. So I do think that we should continue this just for the messaging part and for the part that we're, if we want to get people vaccinated, we want to tell them how important this is, and it's not time to drop this. I don't really think it's necessary, but I do think the messaging is extremely important.
Okay.
And thank you for agreeing with me.
Commissioner Boucher, any thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I think a state of emergency should have nothing to do with messaging. It has to do with public health and logistics. And I just don't see how this state of emergency addresses either one of those two issues. It just seems to be like we go along and do what we have to do up above us, and we get all the financing and whatever largesse that comes down with being in a state of emergency. I do think it's important that we get out of this as soon as possible. And if we couple the vaccination numbers with the population that's been previously affected and has the antibodies in their systems, I think we've turned that corner and we're in a very safe place. And the most important figure I've seen is the vaccination rates of the most vulnerable members of our population. So I'd like to get out of the state of emergencies. I won't be voting for it today, but I do see a lot of promising stuff coming in the near future, such as Commissioner Wance has mentioned. And we're all very much looking forward to getting out of this. And I'm looking forward to coming in there with you guys. Whether you like it or not, the first day I'm back in that office, I'm going to try to give every last one of you a hug, whether you like it or not. So I'm looking forward to things going back to normal.
Well, I will not be receiving that hug, but that's that could be up to
That's reason enough to continue the state of emergency.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right there it is. You just sold it, Jay. Nicely done.
So
I'm moving to continue the state of emergency for 30 days.
I will share. It's not about whether we have received or not received, whether we have gotten this virus or not, on whether we should be vaccinated or not. Everyone should be vaccinated. That is the message that I believe is coming across pretty loud and clear from Ed Singer and from our leadership. Because the sooner we are all vaccinated, the better we're going to be. When the governor shared his executive order in allowing for outside dining, and that chart that Ed Singer shared, I made a comment that I appreciate our governor and his administration in leading in moving forward. And like Commissioner Wance continues to remind us and me that it is important that we are very clear as leaders, and that's and he is. Our governor is the leader, and he is making the directives. And we made a commitment for our county to take care of our county the best we can. So therefore, I will make the motion that we continue the state of emergency for the next 30 days.
Sorry.
We've already made that motion.
I already made
But
it. He can't hear.
I apologize.
If you're not, not paying attention to that, don't even worry about it.
Yeah. So did you second it?
I'll second.
Okay. And I truly do think this is the last time we're going to have to do this.
I expect it to be. Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Against? Record show 4-1, state of emergency is in place. Let's continue on to public hearing, briefing, and request to proceed to public hearing on the 911 fee adjustment.
This is the public.
This is the public hearing. Oh. Where am I?
Jeez.
I know. Where's Scott? There you are. Okay. We have any comments? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Commissioners, I do believe we have Mr. Jack Brown's also joining us, the Emergency Communications Manager. Commissioners, and I do apologize, I believe that Mr. Burke has some introductory comments to make if we can.
It does, Scott.
Him and then
apologize.
That's all right. Commissioners, under the public safety article, you have to have a public hearing before you can increase the 9/11 service fee for the county. And you have a request in front of you from our Department of Public Safety to increase it from 75 cents to $1.50. And Scott is here to, Director Campbell is here to explain the rationale behind the proposed increase. And then we'll see if we have any public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, a couple of weeks ago, as Mr. Burke has indicated, we came before you and we made a request, or made a recommendation, I should say, for you to consider increasing or adjusting the county, used to be known as the local 911 fee, which is separate from the state fee, and to do so to address a documented deficit, documented as in a validated or certified audit of our eligible expenses compared to revenue generated by this fee. As Tim has indicated, you have the legal authority to do so per the public safety article in the Annotated Code of Maryland. We ran the numbers, and I do apologize. I don't know if I failed to ask Ms. Hawkinsmith to join, but she has been critically important in determining or validating the numbers. And we have shown that, candidly, if the law would allow, the county could justify a local rate in that exceeds what the law allows, the $1.50 max. So what is recommended at this time is that the county adjust the local 911 from its current 75 cents to the $1.50. I know that is the maximum, but if you look at the numbers, we could justify a $1.72. So that is our recommendation, commissioners, and that we hope that as a result of this public hearing, you will in fact vote to do that, to adjust the county 911 fee to $1.50.
Okay. Now is it back to you? Mr. Swam, do we have any public comment?
Not unless Jack or Valor, you're going to make a comment. That's all that's on.
Mr. President, it appears we have no public comment on this.
Okay. And this was duly advertised, correct, Mr. Burke?
It was not advertised in the newspaper, but it was posted on our websites.
Okay. Okay.
Is that appropriate enough for advertisement? I mean,
Yes, there was no legal requirement to run a newspaper advertisement.
This gets down to, again, if one would argue, you know, without local channel, whatever, how do you get the word out to everybody? I don't know. You know, it's interesting to me. I hate to get on this bandwagon, but I'm gonna for just a minute. You know, we heard from a handful of folks last week about you didn't have a budget show. You didn't have a budget show. So we let 4 or 5 people dictate us having that.
Yep.
4 or 5. That I find that to be astounding. So, and I understand that 2 of them weren't even on.
Right.
So, you know, that's interesting. So, you know, I understand that the few are often loud. I get that, but I also get the fact that those loud few typically you should just let it go. I don't know. I'm not here to judge that. I'm just saying it's tough to get the word out here on some of these things. I truly do feel that these things are taken for granted with the fees. I truly do believe that. And I think that based upon the need, that is a small potatoes, another 75 cents. I just think you know, because we are specifically putting the first responders in place with that funding. It's not like we're throwing it at whatever. It's critically needed positions for our 911 center, which is something that all of us have been talking about for a year. So I don't know. I don't know how you get the word out. I don't know that there would have been a lot. My point is, I don't think there would have been a lot of folks that would have gone against this anyway. Probably a couple people would have said something if everybody in the county was notified that we were having this hearing today. But, you know, I think we did the
No,
best
your,
we could.
your point's taken in other
So-
jurisdictions, in larger jurisdictions, they do get the word out and they still only get 3 to 5 people. showing up.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
I get that.
I know two of our neighboring jurisdictions did this last year with zero, and I talked to both of them with zero input from anybody. So
This
go
isn't
ahead.
just an issue with us. I mean, it's everyone, the changing media. and
Right.
people
I know.
Gather information.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
we've taken steps to get around this with Chris Swam and getting
Mm-hmm.
information out many different ways and whatever type of media everybody's using.
Right.
So this is not new to us, but this, what we're doing here, we wouldn't be able to do this, put those people in place if we don't do this.
exactly.
So it's a no-brainer.
So
Well,
we got this little thing called Carol Connect that you can put on these lovely little devices. So if you're really interested and you want to bark, get on Carol Connect.
any other?
Yeah.
comments?
I'd just like, if I may, I'd just like to state as someone who's had to dial 911 before because of a shed fire, I realize how critical it is. It was so reassuring to have that person on the other end of the line. They're so professional. They're on point. Commissioner Wayne has done this for a living. He can emphasize how important it is. Also, if Director Campbell would like, or Commissioner Wayne, just give a real quick summation of the investment that we've made into this institution with technology and personnel, that we're not wasting money. So often we as commissioners hear that we waste money, and we certainly do not waste money on something as critical as public safety. So, Mr. Director Campbell, if you want to real quickly surmise some of the investment we made, that'd be helpful.
Absolutely, Commissioner. It's a great point. And I'm actually going to, I think, use Commissioner Wance's comments as a segue to say that the monies, the revenue that this fee would generate are dedicated. They can only be used for the authorized expenses. You do not have the legal discretion, if you will, to use them for other reasons. So they are very bound for this very important purpose. As to your point, Commissioner Boucher, we have been very blessed with a number of significant investments, albeit with some very generous, if you will, reimbursement or funding from the Maryland 911 Board. And the monies that comes from is from the state fee that Mr. Brown has applied for. And I do apologize, commissioners. I'm going to mute my phone. I do. I'm very, very sorry. I probably get one call every 2 days, and I get it today.
Can you find it on your desk, your phone?
You had to go there, sir? Did you really?
Just asking,
You see how my camera? But Commissioner Boucher, to your point, sir, a number of things that we have done just a couple of years ago, you as the board allowed us to make a significant change in the software that these men and women use called CAD, Computer Aided Dispatch, that also provided a very unique feature to the field providers in the form of an MDT, or some call them MDCs, meaning a mobile data terminal or mobile data computers, so that the officers in the police cars, the EMS providers and medic units, the firefighters and rescue technicians and the engine trucks and rescue squads actually have for lack of a better term, a mobile computer in their vehicles, and they're getting all kinds of additional information versus, or in addition to, just the verbal assistance that the dispatchers were providing before. That's because you as the board provided the funding to allow us to make that investment and improvement. It was over $1 million transition. And I don't know if there's anyone who's the end user would say that money wasn't very well spent. Some other monies came in, were involved, but we had we're just completing a substantial enhancement of both our primary and alternate emergency communications center. That's both the point where 911 is answered, as well as we do our radio dispatch that Jack and his folks handle. That included additional workstation capacity, upgrading the technology that's in place. We've just had a radio system enhancement to latest technology. That's, again, a result of the funding that you as the commissioners provide. I'm trying to think of, I know I'm going to skip a number of things. And Jack, if there's something, obviously I'm skipping. If you want to chime in as far as another change or enhancement, please do. But there's just some examples, Commissioner, and I'm talking price tags not only in the hundreds of thousands, But to be very candid, Jack Brown is overseeing the beginning of a refresh of the 911 phone system itself. As you, as a board know, we came before you. That's a $2.58 million project. Granted, the numbers board is funding that, but some of that money that the numbers board has to allocate came from Carroll County taxpayers and telephone users. So maybe not all that money came from here, but Jack has done a great job of bringing back, I will say, an excellent portion of that total pot back to legitimate projects here. That's why we have two phenomenal facilities. That's why Mr. Brown was able during the most challenging parts of the pandemic to be able to split his workforce and maximize the protection of maintaining the integrity, to keep people apart, to use one facility while the other was properly sanitized and basically, my words, allowed to cool before the next shift came in. It wasn't a hot shift from people coming in, passing people coming out. So all of those investments, all of those enhancements, I think are a testimony to where we are today in a very safe and I won't say unscathed. There have been some issues, but it had nothing to do with the operations that Mr. Brown oversaw. So I hope that answered your question, Commissioner. And I'm sure I missed some things.
I appreciate the tour you gave me at a facility. I don't think people realize how substantial it is, the pods they sit in and all the technology involved. I was thoroughly impressed.
Thank you. And just as an example, a lot of us feel very fortunate to have more than one screen when we work on our computer. Imagining trying to monitor actively 8. That's 8. A 4-over-4 array is the typical. They have a mapping array. They have a call entry screen. They have a status screen, et cetera, a phone and a radio control. Each one's dedicated. So it's an amazing job they do. I fully agree with all of you. It's wonderful to see the amount of understanding and respect that you as the board have, but I think the layperson really doesn't have a true understanding of what it takes for one of our dedicated and very professional men and women, what they do in that center. It's an amazing service they provide that I will say I think goes quite unrecognized by most people.
And I believe also, I don't know if it's a shout out or appreciation more, Delegate Krebs was a part of the Next Gen 911 team. You know, and it's always good to have local leadership participating in state legislation so we know the activity that's happening.
Yeah.
And
that is good.
you know, I think Mako also was supportive of moving forward with Next Gen 911. So
Yeah, this was a big nonpartisan issue,
right.
Which went a long way here. And I will now. Here comes my quote again, because you like it so much, Ed. You know, oftentimes we don't. Carroll County down in Annapolis, and I used this the other day. He used it already. Carroll County's like a baby duck in a pond full of geese. But in this case, the baby duck actually quacked a little bit louder, and we were recognized, and Delegate Krebs jumped out in front alongside Senator Kagan from Montgomery to really make a lot of positive changes with NextGen, and they continue to do so. They're going to do some more work in the next session. So,
But I would never call Delegate Krebs a baby duckling.
well, no,
Just saying.
that was an
Just
analogy.
saying.
You know,
Yeah.
So anyway,
She can get in there with the geese. So, and that's in all appreciation. So, okay.
might be.
I'd like to make
Go
a
ahead,
comment
please.
if I could. Whenever I bring up, and I have a few times, increasing revenues, people always jump down my throat about it. How important is this? Extremely important. This is a reason to increase revenues, and that's what we're doing, increasing revenues here. There's also a reason to increase revenues other times. We're not discussing right now, but when we're talking about the budget. But there are legitimate reasons to increase revenues for the public safety, health. I mean, there are reasons. We just have to keep that in mind. This is a very legitimate reason. This is extremely important. I've been harping about this for years about getting more people in there, and now we found a way to do it. But we had to increase revenues to do it. There are other things that we might have to increase revenues for. I'm just putting that out there.
No, well said. You know, live
Agreed.
within our means, and sometimes you have to increase the means
Yeah,
to live
sometimes you do.
appropriately. So,
those darn means. I move that we close the public hearing and approve adjusting the county 911 fee to $1.50.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion second. Any further discussion? Great discussion, and appreciate all the work you're doing, Scott.
Well, thank
Seeing
you.
none, all in favor?
Aye.
5. Okay, 5-0. Let's move on.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll notify the state within the hour.
Okay, I believe you're still on with Valerie. Thank you for joining us. Request approval for new contractual positions. Okay,
Thank you, Commissioners. At this point, Commissioner, I'll simply give you a very brief overview of what's being asked, and then Ms. Hawkins is obviously the subject matter expert of the detail as far as this request. Before you is a request to create a contractual position that will be 100% funded by existing available grants. Accordingly, there will be no additional money required of the commissioners to do this. And I'll use the word regardless of the status of the position as it relates to being eligible for benefits. The grant can cover those as well if it's deemed that the position would warrant benefits. So with that, I would like to ask Ms. Hawkins to speak to you as to the why, what the position is intended for, why we're asking for this contractual position to be added to her staff under emergency management.
Thank you, Director Campbell. And morning. Yes, it is still morning, commissioners. Excuse me. I had to look at my clock there for a second. We have recognized here in emergency management, especially through the pandemic and all of the work that the extra workload that we have had. We really do need some additional staff support to be able to maintain all of the items or facilities, capacities, capabilities that we have in emergency management. We are responsible for maintaining both the primary and alternate emergency operations centers, the emergency operations center annex space that's here in New Windsor, both of the mobile communication and command vehicles. We have a vehicle, emergency management response vehicle that we maintain as well. We also have added, as part of the COVID-19 operations, some warehouse operations and logistics operations to our list of things to do and our list of responsibilities. And we recognize that some of those are going to roll into the future. The warehousing piece of this and the logistics for the COVID response that we've started, that's going to continue for a while. So we've basically identified the fact that we need some additional staff support for the staff members that we have in place. We have a great team. We get a lot done. But this position would allow us to really be a force multiplier for the folks that we already have in place. And the idea behind this position would be performing duties related to the maintenance of all of our functions and capabilities and assets to make sure that we're maintaining them in a state of readiness at all times. Having this position filled at that 25-hour-a-week level would allow us, all of us here in the office, to maybe take some of those more essential but more routine tasks and put those in the hands of the contractual position, and allow us to devote a little bit more time to some of the larger projects that we have on our plates at all times. We have worked with Human Resources to develop a job description. So that is already ready to go. And with the 25-hour-a-week level that we think is going to be the best fit for our organization right now, according to HR and talking with them, we would not be required to offer benefits. But as Director Campbell mentioned, even if we did need to, for some reason, if a law change happened, these things happen, we do have the funding available in the grant that we're utilizing to cover all of those expenses. So with that, if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to clarify anything, or answer any question to the best of my ability.
Now, this is for 6 months.
That's when we talked to HR, that we needed to identify a time frame because it is a contractual position. So as the briefing paper indicates, we would do this initially for a period of 6 months, and then have the option to renew the contract beyond that period, depending on what situation is at the time when we get out to 6 months. That's how actually it feels like a million years ago, a million good years. But I started as a 25-hour-a-week contractual employee as a data analyst position in emergency management. That's how I came to the county. So that's the way it kind of happens sometimes.
So at the end of the 6-month period, if we see the need to renew this position, are we seeking another grant for this, or is this now going to be coming on payroll?
If we have the money recurring in our urban area security initiative grant, both for this year and in the immediate next 2 years, we anticipate having the funding in that grant stream to continue this position if we still have the need in our operations. So this isn't something that we would be thinking that this would be remaining contractual moving into the future.
Right, but my thing is that the only way I'm going to approve this, or my vote, is if it's going to be completely covered by the grant for the entire time it's in existence. If that's not the case, if 2 years down the road it's not covered, then okay, number one, we shouldn't be talking about it right now. We should talk about it during the budget. But I'm not going to vote for it. If the grant is going to cover it, then we're good. If the grant's not going to cover it, then I'm not going to approve it.
The grant will cover it for this first 6 months. For the next
Yeah,
6 months,
that's my
we do have
point.
the funding we do have grant funding for this.
Valerie, the position would not continue if the grant funding were not there, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, yeah,
That's a simple answer.
Right. That's exactly what I want to hear. Thank you,
That's correct.
Ms. Wyndham.
So this is coming out of UASI. Did I hear you say that, Val?
That's correct.
Okay. And UASI funds are typically re-upped without any issue. So I don't, I see what you're saying, but I think we're good here. And I think it's needed. I mean, you guys got through or trying to get through a pandemic. We're almost through it, but any extra hands on deck, I think, are important. So.
Well, and also you will reevaluate the position. So you're not going out for a year, you're going out 6 months. So probably, in 120 days, give or take, you'll be reevaluating that position on whether you want to go out another 6 months. And the answer may be no, at that point. So, okay.
It may be.
Yep. Or it may be a diamond in the rough, like how you got on board. So.
I make the motion we approve the creation of the Emergency Management Readiness Associate, which could be considered MRA because we use acronyms in public safety. So we're going to make an MRA position as presented.
Okay, I got a motion for an MRA and a second to go along with that. Any further discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Okay, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Val. Chris, is there any public comment?
No, sir.
Okay, anything for open admin at this time? Nothing for open admin. Let's just go through agendas. Starting, wow, May the 10th. Monday, May the 10th, Commissioner Frazier will be attending the Transit Advisory Council meeting, which will be a virtual meeting. On Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the 11th, we will have our FY22 budget public hearing where we all will be in attendance. A Wednesday, May 12th, Board of Education meeting, a virtual meeting at 5 p.m.
Now, at that meeting, I am going to be calling in Tuesday evening or to the virtual meeting. I won't be here.
Okay.
And Wednesday, I need a replacement for the Board of Ed.
Is there anyone who would like to attend the Board of Ed meeting on Wednesday, the 12th? Is there anyone that would like to attend the Board of Ed meeting?
So
I'll do it.
I'm not.
Just send me the link. I'll do it. I
Commissioner
have to go
Frazier.
with my phone because I'm not sure what time I'd be back from doing my other
Okay.
job.
Yeah, and I
I'll
just
start from my phone and that's all.
have a meeting at then, so I cannot attend. So, okay, so Commissioner Frazier will attend.
So the virtual public budget hearing,
Yes.
I won't be, we're gonna be
Yeah.
wherever.
You're gonna be wherever. You're not gonna be
I'm gonna
here
be-
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, because I'm not gonna be anywhere
No.
here around
No.
here.
Right.
I'll be on the computer, but I won't be
That's
here.
That's fine. You're not, no,
You understand what I'm saying?
It will be
Not
a
in-
virtual meeting
it will be a truly virtual meeting from wherever you want to be.
Thank you very much.
on
But I could be
Thursday,
here.
May 13th. So Wednesday, May 12th, the Board of Ed meeting, Commissioner Frazier will be attending at 5 p.m. On Thursday, May 13th, we will have open session starting at 9 a.m. with a proclamation, pretty exciting from, I think all of us and the work they're doing at Carroll Hospital Center for the Emergency Services Week recognition. Celebrating America. Okay, 9:30, we have a public hearing, introduction and request to proceed to public for water and sewer spring amendment. At 9, okay, then we have a zoning text amendment for community solar energy. A lot of attention being brought on to that. Procurement of a playground equipment over Westminster Veterans Memorial Park. Looking for a bid approval on a training simulator. That's pretty cool with Sheriff DeWeese and the Sheriff's Department. Request for quotation approval. Let's see. What are these? What are these things?
Scrubbers.
What are they?
I don't know. Something-
Clark Boost Auto Scrubbers
Something to scrub something at the senior center.
at the senior center.
Automatically though.
Okay. Looking for a bid approval on replacement pumps and control panel at Water's Edge Pump Station. I understand that one. Design of the Bartholomew Water Booster Station. We will have more discussions about state directives, and then Mr. Singer will come on. We will go into closed for legal advice and land acquisition on Thursday. We will not be going into closed for legal advice and land acquisition today. That was previously scheduled. On Friday, Goodwill Industries of the Monocacy Valley. What?
Not today, next Thursday. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
It was scheduled for today. We're not going into
Okay.
closed for legal advice and land acquisition today. We
Okay.
will be going to closed
Got it.
for legal
Okay.
advice land
Thank you for
acquisition on
bringing that up.
Thursday.
Got readjust my calendar.
I'm here for you.
Thank you.
On Friday at 8 a.m., Goodwill Industries, Monocacy Valley, Neighborhood Self-Service Center grand opening and ribbon cutting. Commissioner Frazier will be attending.
Yeah, I have to see about that. That's not 100% on me attending that.
Okay,
Go ahead.
let me know because I may be able to attend that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I might be able to hit that one too. So
they're doing a lot of good work with the Goodwill Monocacy. Saturday, May 15th, Commissioner Frazier is scheduled to attend the Certified Home Remodelers Grand Opening up in Westminster. Commissioner Boucher has the podcast for that week.
Pardon me, if any staff members has anything they'd like for me to announce, please forward it to me and I'll include in the podcast. Thanks.
Okay, on the following week, nothing on the 17th. On the 18th, a Chamber of Commerce economic update with Annabon Basu. It's a virtual meeting. Right now, Commissioners Wance, Weaver, and I will be attending. It is a free virtual meeting with the Chamber. Planning and Zoning Commission meeting with Commissioner Wance at 9 a.m. At 12 p.m., right now, Commissioner Wance, Frazier, and I will be attending the Springboard Community Services groundbreaking ceremony. I also believe Department of Citizen Services will also be in attendance to that as well. A lot of work that they do over there. We will have an open session starting at 1 p.m. Looking to adopt the adopted budget work session. Is that a definite or is that a possible?
No, that's, so
Is
after
that
your
what
public
we're
hearing,
adopting?
this is the first of two opportunities
Okay.
for the board to discuss any changes or amendments or
Okay.
whatever you want to make.
So that will happen. That's not a tentative. That will
Correct.
happen. Okay. And And then 2 p.m. Veterans Advisory Council meeting. Both Commissioner Weaver and I will be attending as long as that open session is done, obviously. On Wednesday, the 19th, First Responders Appreciation Day. Commissioners Wance, Frazier, and I will be attending. They'll be at all different locations. Let's see. Carroll Community College Board meeting. There'll be a virtual meeting. Commissioner Wance will be attending. Drug court treatment graduation. Commissioner Weaver, Frazier, and I will be attending that graduation at 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, the 19th. On Thursday, the 20th, we'll go into open session at 9 a.m. Public hearing on the Industrial 1 text amendment will occur. Request approval to transfer FY 2021 annual housing bond allocation from Citizen Services at 10:15. We will go into our normal, any state updates or directives, and also Mr. Singer will be joining us that morning. I expect more to be added into that open session. Let's see. And then at 1 p.m., we have our second adopted budget work session, and that's if needed, correct? Right. Okay. Getting better at this. Magic Showcase and ribbon cutting will occur at 2 p.m. Both Commissioner Frazier and I will be attending. I know it's a subjective call on that one. And then Saturday, May 22nd, Commissioner Boucher will be attending the Dream Big Union Bridge Duck Derby.
Oh,
I don't see any ducks up
That's
here.
where's the duck?
There's got to be a duck somewhere.
There's a duck here. There,
Okay,
Weaver's
there
got the
is the
duck.
duck.
There's the duck.
It's a token duck.
And for the record, I will not be showing up dressed in a duck costume.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that Commissioner Boucher will not be dressed up in a duck costume, but we do have the duck.
I am going to put this with a group of geese.
Right.
Okay.
Right. A duck and a pond full of geese. Many more people will now attend that if he's not going to show up as a duck.
I would
So that's
expect
good.
that. And most importantly, I do have the podcast that Sunday, May the 23rd. There will be an award presentation over at Klimgold Park where Commissioner Boucher will be attending. It is a award presentation of the youth fishing rodeo that had occurred.
And he'll be showing up dressed as a fish.
You're
So
going to be
there's
dressed
that.
as a duck, a fish. I thought there was
Wet fish?
I don't know. We're not going there. Okay. What I need is a motion to recess and then go into closed for public safety. And then a motion to adjourn after that.
Motion to go into close for public safety.
Second.
Okay.
Motion to
Motion
adjourn
seconded.
after the public safety.
Wait, we have to
closed
vote on the
session.
first. We gotta vote on
Oh, I
first.
thought you voted already.
Any comments, questions on the first motion? Seeing here none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Now go ahead.
I'm not doing it. Motion to adjourn after the closed session.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion, I got a second. Any further comments? Deep breath, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Oh man, 4-1, but we will.